Hey everyone, and welcome back to another 7.3 PTR video. Today we're going to be covering two new artifact features. First, we have our new artifact weapon progression system, which is called the Crucible of Shadow and Light. And then second, we're going to be looking at the most recent rework of artifact knowledge. So, let's get started with the Crucible of Shadow and Light. This is a secondary progression system for your artifact weapon. And I say secondary because it happens on top of your current Concordance of Legion Fall progression. Now, unfortunately, the quest that basically all of this is locked behind is broken on the PTR, but somehow, through some sort of voodoo magic, WoW had managed to get screenshots, so I'll be using their screenshots. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the unlock requirements for this after explaining how it works. Now, this might get a little bit confusing, but let's just get into it. So, the Crucible of Shadow and Light is used to empower your relic slots. The slots, not the actual relics. Now, as you know, you have 3 active relic slots after completing your Class Order Hall campaign, so that's what we're going to be playing around with here. So each one of your relic slots has its own trait tree. These are 3 tiers deep, and getting access to each tier is tied to the rank of the slot. Now, the relic slots will increase in rank as you level up your artifact weapon. So in this example, the relic slot will hit rank 2, unlocking its second tier of traits once the weapon itself hits rank 61. It's fair to say that this is kind of confusing at the minute, but the basic idea is that as you pour more AP into Concordance, you'll rank up your relic slots, which will allow you to have access to the new relic traits, which will just give you the more customization. Now, the first tier is a simple 5-item level upgrade, and it does have 3 ranks. However, these 3 ranks seem to be shared between all relic slots, meaning that your initial progression in this system will be getting you plus 15 item level on your artifact weapon. Past this, you'll be getting into the second and third tiers of each relic slot, and these are different per relic slot. So let's start off with Tier 2. Tier 2 gives you 1 light option and 1 shadow option. Each one of these traits can be upgraded 3 times, and each relic slot will have a different set of traits in the second tier. Now, these traits are mostly just procs or stat increases. And then when we move on to the third tier, we've got 3 options. However, you'll notice that you'll only be able to access 2 of them. If you choose the Shadow Rank 2 trait, then you will have unlocked the path to the Shadow Rank 3 trait and the Neutral Rank 3 trait. And I assume you will have lost access to the Holy Rank 3 trait. Now, the rank 3 traits currently empower your artifact weapon's golden traits, which will be interesting to some specs, but honestly rather dull to others because they don't really impact gameplay for some specs. Still, this means that you will have to plan a little bit in advance and think about your upgrade path. Some elements of this are currently not testable, and I'm sure this system is going to be iterated on as time progresses because I've seen quite a lot of feedback of people saying they find it confusing and unintuitive. Now, there is, for an example, what appears to be a legendary gem slot on the UI. Now, I only say legendary gem because it's orange and it looks like a gem slot. We have no idea what it actually is, but maybe that's something that will allow us to further modify our weapons, which I think would be quite cool. Personally, I'd rather we did not have legendary items at all and we just sort of socketed the cool effect into our weapons, but anyway, that's kind of by the by. Now, this does appear to mean that AP is going to significantly matter again. Also, one of the new legendaries actually does empower the shadow and light effects of the Netherlight Crucible, which is kind of interesting. We'll have to see how that customization plays out. So as an example, you know, one of your relic slots is unlocking its first level at weapon rank 61, and then I think it's weapon rank 64 is when your second slot goes to level 1, so it seems like you kind of progress through them all in that sort of order. So, with that out of the way, let's cover artifact knowledge. In patch 7.2.5 right now, just about everyone has AK rank 40, and you can get your alts to AK rank 40 immediately via a compendium. With this amount of AK, it takes pretty much no work to unlock everything, and the Concordance ranks just aren't really worth farming because they're not that powerful. So that's going to change when this patch comes along, because even if the Concordance ranks aren't that powerful, and by the way, a few of the traits do seem to buff Concordance, but still, even if the Concordance things aren't that powerful, you'll still be wanting to progress through them to unlock the Crucible of Shadow and Light stuff. So let's talk about the changes to the AK system. Now on the PTR, the compendiums are actually grey items, and all PTR characters have their artifact knowledge rank set to 41. Then the AK will increase by 1 rank every week, moving initially from a 4 million multiplier to a 55 million multiplier by the time you hit rank 50, and this means you don't have to do any research work orders. It just naturally ticks up week by week. And if you go to the NPC researcher, they say that the orders are working together, which means we don't need to worry about it anymore. So basically, Artifact Knowledge is an automated system. It is not something that you have to think about. Though, to be honest, it is tempting not to bother much with AP farming because, you know, after 10 weeks, you go from a 4 million to a 55 million, which is like, what, 13, 14 times more time efficient, so whatever. So, how do you actually unlock the Netherlight Crucible itself? Well, simple, questing. You need to complete the first 2 zones of Argus. This should take you from 1.5 to 2.5 hours, maybe an hour, depending on if you decide to do side quests or not. Now, this is content that you will be doing on any alt that you want to be actively playing, because the new world quests are unlocked by progressing through the new zones of Argus. I found that none of the quests were super annoying, and it was all pretty good quality content. Unlike the Order Hall quest stuff, you know, you're not waiting behind a time gate, so you can just go in and knock this out whenever you want to. So, honestly, I'm happy enough with it. Getting access to Argus also seems to have no requirement other than being max level. Because, like, as soon as you log on to the PTR, you know, you get the breadcrumb quest, and within a few minutes, you're on Argus. So, there you go. That is a look at the new artifact weapon progression system in this patch. Honestly, the Shadow and Light Crucible Netherlight thing seems a little bit work in progress. Blizzard put it on the PTR, said they really wanted people's feedback. I guess my feedback is that Purse relic slot customization seems like an interesting idea, though I think the UI and general system is a little bit confusing and contrived, and it seems like the sort of thing that that a lot of people would want a guide for rather than have to sort of bother to do it all themselves. But hey, my channel basically exists because Blizzard are bad at explaining things and people need to make guides. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.